Look, today let's have a chat about startup businesses and more specifically some of those, I guess, pitfalls and things they should look out for when they're starting.
Yeah.
I think specifically, and you had one of these, I think you were at an event last week talking about this, Olly.
WA Leaders, shout out to WA Leaders.
Oh, they're great events. And the SWOT analysis and what they should be looking for. Let's say if you're under $1 million revenue turnover, what are some of the things that they should be looking when they start up?
Yeah, look, the exercise we did at WA Leaders is called a SWOT analysis, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. And so essentially if you do a rectangle divided up into 4 rectangles and you put your strengths in the top left, weaknesses top right, opportunities bottom left and threats bottom right. Really what you're trying to identify there is, what are you really good at? What separates you from your competition, and then from there try to derive your unique selling proposition.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, PWD, we obviously operate in a very commoditized space. It's a very competitive space. So what makes us, what's our USP over and above other agencies? And can you also quantify that somehow? To me, if somebody was to sort of ask me in an elevator, what makes PWD better than other agencies, or what do you think is your strength? I would say, well, we have an in-house team of 44, digital marketing and web professionals based in West Leaderville.
We run behind the glass doors every week.
That's it.
Yeah.
Or, you might say unique selling proposition is that, we're ISO certified.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like a mind-blowing USP, but it does have to be a USP which is one, unique and ideally somehow quantifiable. And but it's quite hard sometimes when you ask a business owner, especially a startup business owner, which is obviously what we're talking about today, what they see as their unique selling point, because often they'll just say what they do.
Right.
Like they'll say, I'm a speech therapist. Well, that's great. Or
so are the other 50 speech therapists around.
What separates you?
Yeah.
I'm a speech therapist that helps children between the ages of 5 and 8, and I generally can rectify speech problems within 4 to 6 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you've almost put like almost a guarantee on it.
Right. Yeah.
Would you for those SWOT analysis?
Yeah.
Would you call outside people in to help you with that? Because I think sometimes you can get a little bit tunnel vision, and when we speak to clients sometimes they might think their strength is this and this, but maybe a second opinion from someone looking in. Would you?
And as your business evolves, clearly your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats change, right? In startup phase, and those external people would obviously at startup phase would be friends, family, or your initial customer base.
Right?
Well, no, your initial customer base would tell you, because they've chosen you, so they know why they chose you. There was a strength which they saw that perhaps you didn't, and they've gone, I'm going to work with him. And when I first started up back in 2007, it was the fact that they were talking directly to me, and for a long time. The thing we put out is that you talk to the owner, not a salesperson. But that's obviously not true anymore. So that's no longer a strength.
Right.
In some cases, you might say, well, it could be a weakness because they're not dealing with, the owner or the founder of the business. Being me. So those do change, and your USP will change over time. It will evolve, and ideally, it's obviously going to get better. But I think knowing who you are and what you offer, and then you can then go, well, who's my target audience?
Right. Who are you talking to?
And what's their name? What situation are they going to be looking for me? And then once you start to understand that, it becomes a lot easier to home in your advertising, which is obviously what we're trying to get to here.
Especially your platform and your messaging, right?
Yeah. Because at startup phase, you've got super limited cash to spend, and you don't want to start trying to do, too many things and pull too many strings, because invariably you're probably going to F that up.
Yeah. Where does that catch? That sits in what? In threats or weaknesses? Where would you say the lack of cash flow? That would be a threat, I'd imagine, for in that.
It's a weakness. It's a weakness, isn't it? At our size, the threat to us is a market downturn or technology, AI, right? Those are all threats to us.
You love AI, mate, don't you?
But at the same time, conversely, they can also be opportunities, right? If AI allows us to scale faster, it allows us to produce content faster, it allows us to do SEO faster. That's also an opportunity as much as it is a threat. But AI with SEO, particularly with AI-generated search results, that's a massive threat because that may well wipe out a revenue stream for us, which this company's been sort of founded upon. You have to be, I guess, resilient and be aware of things that are changing, be it legislation, be it competition, be it technology, whatever's coming. You have to keep your finger on the pulse, otherwise you can become a Kodak. You can have your Kodak moment, and you can be eradicated. Kodak obviously stuck with print and didn't really go digital quick enough. So that was the end of Kodak.
That was it.
You two would start a business up, eh? Sounds scary.
But
only crazy people.
100%. I think in terms of like the biggest question I get from startup founders is where should I advertise?
Right.
And there's obviously not a universal answer to that question, but I think they should advertise where obviously they believe their target demographic is going to be hanging out, right? And something I try to explain to, I guess, novice marketeers is obviously, the decision funnel. And really, if you're at that sort of under 1 million revenue cap, you probably, by virtue of the fact you haven't got much cash to spend, nor test with, nor waste, you really want to be advertising at the bottom of the decision-making funnel. So,
what do you mean the bottom?
Well, people which are actively searching for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So, people which
close to good to go.
Close to good to go. Yeah.
We're talking Google search engine marketing.
Yeah, 100%. Instagram and Facebook and social media as a general is not at the bottom of the decision-making funnel. It's slightly above.
Yeah.
There may well be people which are right, you just happen to hit them at the right time and they were right in market to buy that product.
Luck involved there though, right?
There was, some luck because I sort of liken social media as, it's cheap attention, you can dredge.
You have to get awareness though.
I love cheap attention.
Yeah, but you have to,
much of that
I think before, you have to get awareness.
But at the same time, you can get lots of likes and, impressions and things like that and potentially leads, but you're going to find that the conversion rate of those leads is going to be pretty low. Because you're going out and you're dredging, right? Whereas, if you can find people which are actively seeking out that product, they've already made the conscious decision, they are in hunt mode. They've gone to Google, they've typed something in, and you can marry that keyword with your business and say, well, they're obviously searching to solve a problem, and you're here saying you can do it. You've got a fairly good chance of getting that inquiry. And that's really my startup. And I remember it so clearly. I decided I needed to get more customers. I'd done telesales, that was freaking hard. I was hitting the yellow pages back in the day. Ring. Off, so it was.
We'll censor that out.
It was mind-numbing, and it was time-consuming. It was slow. It was demoralising, and of course, it's a bit of a shotgun method. You hope that you hit something. And then I took $5, put it on Google Ads, and got a lead. And I was so poor, I turned my Google Ads off because $5 was me done.
That was dinner for the week, right? That's a 2-minute noodles.
But Google back in those days was a lot cheaper than it is now. And I'd get my lead, I'd go see it, sell it, take some of the profits from that. Next time I'd go and put in $10 for the day, two leads, so on and so forth. So slowly but surely built up from an annual revenue of like $60,000, and that to me was a good year. To where we are now. So David can start really small, but even before that, where's the best place to, you're sub $1 million or you're sub $500,000 or even you're just at $100 grand's worth of revenue? I'd say friends and family. Referrals.
Totally.
Just put yourself out there, business cards, even if you put your business card up on the notice board at the back of the shopping centre.
Well, you build a bit of a testimonial library by doing that as well, and they become your focus group. And once you have that focus group, we were talking about that before, but once you have that focus group kind of sorted and people like your product, and these are the reasons why they like your product, you can use that to kind of go out to the wider market.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's encouraging for startups where the budget is the cash flow is quite limited. There are things you can do that aren't going to cost you, 20 grand a month.
No.
Like we're
no.
quite fortunate because we have a decent advertising we do with PWD, but
We
it
do.
wasn't always the case.
It wasn't the case, no. And I think it doesn't matter how big you get, you can't become complacent. You still need to advertise.
No,
you
yeah.
can't get arrogant and think, everybody knows me,
Sure,
because humans are naturally drawn to things which, draw attention. So, we've always advertised from day dot until now, and I'm very reluctant to turn it off because
Right.
to me,
Yeah,
sales and
yeah.
inquiries is the lifeblood of this business and other businesses I'm involved with. What I disagree started, this advice, this sort of people saying that you should be, doing blogs and posting heaps, and putting up just content for the sake of putting up content because
Sure.
it just seems like such a fucking waste of time.
Yeah.
You're getting very little traction. You're getting a few likes.
Yeah.
You're spending all this time and like headfuck trying to get all this content organised.
Yeah.
Put it on your blog, put it up on LinkedIn and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then start direct messaging people, and it just feels spammy. It feels icky,
Yeah.
and it's like
Especially you got no brand in
you got no brand.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
it's just it's the digital equivalent of door knocking
Yeah.
to homeowners that aren't even home.
Yeah.
It's such a waste of time.
Yeah.
And so friends, family, those kind of referrals initially at that sort of early startup phase. Hustle. I mean, some telesales, sure, if you can kind of work out companies that are like the perfect fit for your product.
Yeah.
But kind of like you said, the testing ground.
Yeah.
It's a really good way to trial and error and
Yeah.
things up,
Yeah.
and do that on prospects which are fairly small, and if you do up, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And we said before, I think we had a very similar topic, but the idea is make a good product.
Yeah.
Make a good product. Like really pay attention to making something nowadays. What you end up creating, and we said this about the brand, when you create something, you put it out to the market, you now give it to that market.
Yeah.
The second that product is not making the change in their lifestyle that you claim it will be,
Yeah.
all of a sudden negativity will come out of that product, and then you're back to square one.
Yeah.
But if you make a good product that actually does what you say it's going to do, and it does affect people in that way, the positivity is going to come back out, and people are going to want to buy that product
And that's
off
where
of
the
other
referrals come
Right.
in, right? If you do the right thing
Right.
with those.
But make a good product, provide a good service. You have to do that.
I agree. Your product or service, yes, certainly needs to be good. You just got to be careful you don't get stuck in that procrastination circle.
Oh, right, no, I know what you mean.
I see a
Yeah.
ton of people that get so obsessed about making the perfect
Yeah.
service, product, app, website, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and they don't even get to the point of testing the market
No,
with
I
it
agree,
because
yeah.
there's an app that I'm thinking of, and if Grant Britz is watching this, he was involved in building this app with us.
Yeah.
And this
Of course he will be watching it.
this particular gentleman spent the better part of 2.5 years, and we were refining tiny little
Of course, yeah.
rounded edges
Yeah,
and stuff like that
yeah.
on this app. And I'm just thinking, we're wasting time
You
here.
gotta go to the
Put
market,
it
give
out
it
to
a
the
test.
market.
Yeah, you gotta give it a test.
And with your product and service, it's an Apple iPhone is not the best product on the market,
No.
right? You can buy phones which are faster, have more memory, have better cameras, etc., than
Yeah.
an Apple iPhone.
Yeah.
The reason you buy that is because it has an ecosystem and it has a status associated with it. Apple only worldwide controls 13% of the market for phones, but
Yeah.
you think they control 100%.
Yeah, that's surprising.
And I think, don't get in that procrastination circle. And the key is, what does that product or service do for the end person?
100%, yeah. the
So
user.
it's not the features
Yeah.
and benefits.
Right. Right.
It's what am I, as the customer, the consumer of that, going to get out of it?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that also comes out of your SWOT analysis
Yeah.
and your USPs. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, you're a speech therapist. Well, cool. You're going to help fix my child
Yeah,
in
right.
their speech. You're
Yeah.
going to help them not be the odd one out.
Yeah.
Emotionally, that's what I care about.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't care about your credentials or
Right.
history or
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
care about the result you're going to get for my
What are you gonna
child.
do from it? Yeah.
All right, gents, we're just getting to 15, so let's wrap it up.
There it is.
Thanks, Ollie. Thanks, Chris.